Another tough loss for the Toronto Maple Leafs. They fall to the Tampa Bay Lightning in Game 7. Mike Distefano, co-host of Locked On Leafs, is here to talk about a heartbreaking series and what lies ahead in Toronto.
You're Locked On NHL, your daily podcast on the National Hockey League. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome back to the Monday edition of the Locked On NHL podcast. Gil Martin, so glad to be with you, and thank you for making Locked On NHL your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms. It's my pleasure to welcome back to the show the co-host of Locked On Leafs, Mike Distefano. And Mike, wow, what a heartbreaking way to end a season. I mean, a lot of people thought this was the year. Talk to me about what happened in Game 7 and where the Leafs came up short.
Well, they came up short on the scoreboard, Gil. That's where they came up short, right? Look, Toronto, gave it their all, gave a pretty good effort, but at the end of the day, they lost to a pretty good team. But it was, in years past, you've seen this club go out and lay eggs in Game 7. Not necessarily the case in this one, so they at least gave it their all, but this is 6 straight years with a first-round elimination from this club, and this year felt like it was going to be different. I believe thoroughly that this team was going to figure out a way to dig deep and get it done. The way they played, the way they were scoring goals, and it was just there's a different vibe coming from this team. They were saying all the right things, and at the end of the day, they tricked me. They tricked me, Gil. I thought this was going to be the year that they were going to get it done, but another first-round elimination. And look, they went all the way to Game 7, lost by 1 goal in Game 7, lost by 1 goal in Game 6. Game 6 goes to overtime. And at the end of the day, that's all they needed was 1 goal in one of those 2 games. And this could be a much different podcast here today. But alas, that's 6 straight years, same result.
6 straight years, same result. So what has to change here in Toronto? I mean, there's such a talented team. No denying the roster is stacked top to bottom. The goaltending didn't seem to be the issue in this series, really. I mean, you got solid net minding. Yeah. What has to change to get this team over the 6-year first-round hump?
I feel like if I knew the answer, I would charge Brendan Shanahan and company a hefty fee to give them the roadmap to the second round. I don't know is the honest answer. I don't think that this is a team that's going to blow up by any stretch of the imagination. Maybe one guy moves, and the one that kind of you circle as the easiest, I guess, to see getting dealt out the door would be like a William Nylander type of player. Great season. He had like 80 points this year, basically a point per game player, and he's only making $6.9 million. So it's a digestible contract that you can move out. And that's the only big change that I could really see happening. I mean, they got to get Jack Campbell locked up this offseason. They're pretty tight up against the cap. They've got a couple other UFAs that they'd probably like to bring back, some RFAs that they got to get re-signed, and not a whole lot of cap to get it done. So it's going to be an interesting offseason for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Kyle Dubas, the general manager, is going to have the next couple of weeks, probably going to look at his board and see exactly what they could do to make this team better. But they broke records this year. This is the greatest Toronto Maple Leafs team ever built by statistical standards. I mean, talent-wise, I guess it's up for debate, but statistically, they broke records, multiple records, whether it was individuals with Austin Matthews scoring 60 goals, never done before in a Maple Leafs uniform, whether it's them having, 118-point season, which is far surpasses, the record that they had set a few years back for points by the team overall. It was a great year, but at the end of the day, something has got to give, I think, going 6 years to the well, the same core, same cast of characters. I think we'll see one move kind of get done. I don't know who it'll be. I don't know what it'll be, but I think I'd be shocked to see the exact same core moving forward into next season, Gil.
Is there one area of the team that you feel they need to address the most right now heading into this offseason?
That's the weird part, man. I thought that they addressed all the areas pretty adequately this year to kind of get it done. They went out and they added at the deadline, bringing in Lyubushkin and Mark Giordano to add to the depth on this blue line. I thought they had the guns, the horses on the back end to get it done. Up front, obviously, they've got some big boys in Matthews and Marner, but Tavares, Nylander, both point per game type of players. Maybe they could add one more guy up front and maybe balance out the score and get a little bit more from their depth. But you had guys like Engvall and Mikheyev step up this year in the playoffs. David Kampf stepped up. You got a little bit of action from your depth. And then goaltending, I think Jack Campbell's the answer, probably the guy that they're going to want to roll with going forward. He played spectacularly, I would say, in the playoffs. A little bit of a up and down regular season, but he found himself late and kind of got the job done, gave the team every opportunity to win this series. It's definitely not on him. So it's tough because it seems like they found the right nucleus to get it done. But at the same time, due to the salary cap, they're not going to be able to keep this same group together and run it back. Mikheyev is a UFA. Lyubushkin, Giordano's a UFA. You've got some RFAs who are going to be getting some more money. You have Morgan Riley's contract extension kicking in. So there's going to be some interesting situations when it comes to trying to finagle the cap to put together a quality team. But I thought they did a good job this year, and it's upsetting that it only lasted 7 games in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Do you think this is a chemistry or a leadership issue, or maybe the pressure of playing in Toronto with all the media scrutiny and the history? This team hasn't won a Stanley Cup in 55 years. Do those things enter into the equation?
The team's cursed. That's the answer for you, Gil. The team is cursed, my man. I mean, 6 years in a row, I've watched the same movie over and over and over again. It's Groundhog Day. And when I say it's cursed, I legitimately am starting to believe it. I didn't for a couple of years. I was like, the team just kind of isn't good enough to get it done. But the last couple of years, they've been the better team. And they definitely should have won. But a couple bad bounces, couple bad breaks, phantom high sticking call, or, they take a stupid random penalty. Someone possesses their mind, and Galchenyuk gives up a pizza up the middle and completely changes that entire series last year. And, it's just a couple of bad breaks and bounces going against them each and every year, and they never seem to get the bounce in their direction. And I say that's a curse. It's got to be a Game 7 curse for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And the way that I think they're going to have to get to kind of exercise it, they got to win it in 6 games. They got to get a Game 6 win next season, and it sucks because now you look at the Toronto Maple Leafs, next year's doesn't really matter. And a lot of Maple Leafs fans are going to sit there and say, you can do whatever the heck you want. You guys broke records, set multiple records, both personal and team records all last season. You could do the same thing this upcoming year. Wake me up in the playoffs and get it done then, because that's ultimately the only goal that Leaf fans have for this team at this point. Make it through to the second round of the playoffs, and obviously more than that. But let's start with step number 1.
Mike, why don't you tell our listeners and our viewers where they could find the podcast and where they could find you on social media?
Yeah, you can find the podcast, wherever you get your podcast from audio version, up on YouTube as well, Locked On Leafs. And you can find myself at Mickey_Canuck on Twitter.
All right. Mike Distefano, always a pleasure. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, anytime, Gil.
Today's episode is brought to you by Built Bar. Imagine dipping your finger into that plastic tub of birthday cake frosting and then opening your eyes and realizing it was only 150 calories but packed 16 grams of protein. That's what it's like to eat a birthday cake puff from Built. I just received my birthday cake puffs, and I have never had anything like this before. They're available right now, but we can't promise that they'll be there tomorrow, so get them today at Built.com. And if you haven't tried the puffs, I'll let you in on a little secret, because that's what friends do. A chocolate-covered marshmallow protein bar. Yeah, you heard me. Delicious flavored marshmallow covered in 100% real chocolate. Make every day your birthday with Built's birthday cake puffs. Built has taken the delicious experience of biting into a fresh slice of birthday cake, enrobed it in 100% white chocolate, and added sprinkles. With 150 calories, 16 grams of protein, and only 9 grams of sugar, This limited time flavor is an amazing option if you're looking for a healthy way to get flavor and variety in your day. Go to Built.com and get birthday cake puffs now. Go to Built.com, use promo code LOCKED15. You'll get 15% off your order. Again, that's promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com.